Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, where we shine a spotlight on some of the most fascinating and unexpectedly valuable coins that could be hiding in your pocket right now. Today, we're taking a trip back to the late 1970s, a time of disco, bell-bottoms, and big changes in American culture, but also, a time when a certain small coin was quietly making its way into history. That coin is none other than the 1979 Washington quarter dollar, and believe it or not, some versions of this coin have become shockingly valuable. At first glance, the 1979 Washington quarter looks like any ordinary piece of change. It's easy to overlook. Most of us have probably seen hundreds of them without giving a second thought. But the truth is, there are certain versions of the 1979 quarter that can command a massive payday, if you know what to look for. Today, we're going to dig deep into what makes this coin special, why collectors are paying big bucks for certain examples, and how to tell if you might be sitting on a gold mine. Let's kick things off with a little background. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of the first U.S. President, George Washington. For decades, it featured a relatively consistent design, Washington's profile on the obverse and the proud American eagle on the reverse. In 1979, the quarter was still very much rooted in this classic design era, before the State Quarters or the America the Beautiful series came along, but while the design may not have changed, a few important things were happening behind the scenes that make the 1979 quarter stand out in the eyes of collectors today. First and foremost, mint marks and minting errors. These are two of the most critical factors that determine a coin's rarity, and therefore, its value. The 1979 quarters were minted in three locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Most of the San Francisco coins were actually made as proof coins, which means they were specially struck with extra care and detail, often for collectors. Now here's where things get interesting. Not all 1979 quarters are created equal. Some were struck with small imperfections or anomalies during the minting process. And in the coin collecting world, those mistakes can be worth a fortune. For example, double die errors, off-center strikes, or even quarters with missing layers of metal. These are the types of rare coins that collectors go wild for. And yes, these errors can and do happen on quarters minted in 1979. Another thing to look out for is the condition of the coin. Like with all collectible coins, condition plays a huge role in value. Coins that have never been circulated, called uncirculated or mint state, are worth significantly more than coins that show signs of wear and tear. Even the smallest scratch or mark can dramatically reduce a coin's value. A 1979 Washington quarter that has been well preserved, kept away from oils, dirt, or abrasion, especially one graded MS 67 or higher, can be worth far more than most people expect. And then there's the Holy Grail, 1979 proof errors. In some rare cases, a coin meant to be a proof might exhibit a minting flaw. Or even more exciting, sometimes proof coins are accidentally struck using regular business strike dies. These anomalies are extremely rare, but when found, they can fetch jaw-dropping prices. So, how do you know if your 1979 quarter is one of these rare finds? Here are a few tips. Check the mint mark. Look closely under the date. An S means it was minted in San Francisco and could be a proof coin. A D is from Denver, and no mint mark means it came from Philadelphia. Inspect the coin carefully. Use a magnifying glass. Look for signs of doubling, errors in the lettering or design, off-center images, or odd coloring which could indicate a planchet error. Examine the edges. A missing clad layer will give the quarter a copper-colored edge rather than the standard silver-nickel sandwich. Assess the condition. If your coin looks brand new or unusually sharp and shiny, it might be in uncirculated condition, which is highly desirable. Once you think you've found a valuable coin, your best next step is to have it professionally graded by a respected service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. These services will verify the coin's authenticity and assign it a grade, which helps determine how much collectors might be willing to pay. Now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for, the potential value of the 1979 Washington quarter. while the majority of 1979 quarters are still worth just 25 cents, rare versions, especially those with minting errors, proof variations, or coins in exceptionally high grade, have been known to sell for astonishing prices at auction. In fact, one particularly rare and pristine example of a 1979 Washington quarter sold for an unbelievable $73,000, yes, you heard that right, $73,000. That's more than the cost of a brand new car, for a coin that might be sitting unnoticed in your collection or tucked away in your change drawer. So, the next time you come across a 1979 Washington quarter, don't just toss it aside. Give it a good, close look. It might not only hold historical value, it could also be your ticket to a life-changing windfall. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1973 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that many of us have held in our hands without ever realizing its true potential. At first glance, this quarter looks like just another piece of pocket change, 25 cents, used for vending machines, parking meters, or tossed into a change jar. But what if I told you that a single 1973 Washington quarter could be worth far, far more than its face value? We're not just talking a few dollars. This coin, under the right conditions, could be worth tens of thousands. So hang tight, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this ordinary-looking coin might be one of the most valuable surprises in U.S. coin history. Let's start with the background. The Washington quarter has a rich legacy, first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. For decades, it carried the iconic profile of Washington on the obverse and the powerful image of an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. The 1973 version stuck with that classic design, but the story behind this coin lies not in how it looks, but in how it was made, and how rare certain versions of it have become. In 1973, quarters were minted at 3 different facilities across the United States: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Each mint produced millions of coins, but not all of them were created equally. This is where things get interesting. The San Francisco Mint mostly produced proof coins in 1973. These are high-quality coins, specially struck for collectors using polished dies and planchets to achieve a mirror-like finish. These weren't meant for general circulation. But occasionally, proof coins were accidentally released into circulation, or coins from the other mints were struck with slight imperfections that turned them into hidden treasures. And when we talk about hidden treasures, we're talking about minting errors and exceptional conditions. Let's talk about minting errors first. These are what every serious collector hopes to find. In the case of the 1973 Washington quarter, known errors include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and misaligned dies. One of the most famous errors involves the double die obverse, where the details of Washington's face or the inscriptions appear slightly duplicated or shadowed. These mistakes, though rare, can make the value of the coin skyrocket. And then we have the missing clad layer error. Normally, quarters are made with a copper core and a nickel-clad outer layer. But in rare cases, that outer layer may not be properly bonded, resulting in a quarter that looks copper-colored all over, similar to a penny. If you find a 1973 quarter that looks reddish or dull brown instead of the usual silver, don't ignore it. It could be a rare misstrike that collectors would love to get their hands on, but even without an error, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A 1973 Washington quarter graded at MS 65 or above, meaning mint state, no scratches, sharp details, and full luster, is considered a highly collectible coin. Now imagine finding one in MS 67, MS 68, or even rarer, MS 69 condition. That's where the big money comes in. Now, let's talk about proof coins for a moment. If you have a 1973 quarter with a mirror-like surface and an S mint mark, it's likely a proof. While many proof coins were sold in sets, some found their way into circulation or ended up separated from their sets over time. If you come across one in pristine condition, especially if it has any kind of unusual features or toning, it could be worth a serious premium. The key takeaway here is this: not all 1973 quarters are created equal. The vast majority are still worth only face value, but those that were struck with errors, released in proof condition, or preserved in top mint state are in a completely different league. So, how do you know if your 1973 Washington quarter is a rare find? Here's a quick checklist. Check the mint mark. Look for a D for Denver, no mint mark for Philadelphia, or an S for San Francisco. Proof coins will have an S. Inspect the coin under magnification. Look for any signs of doubling in the date, the lettering, or Washington's features. Check the color and luster. A bright silver shine with no scratches is a good sign. A reddish or copper-colored quarter might indicate a missing clad layer. Look at the alignment and edges. An off-center design or incomplete edge detail can be signs of mint errors. If you think you found a special coin, the next step is to get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade not only confirms your coin's authenticity but can also dramatically increase its value when it goes to auction or is listed for sale. And now, for the big moment, the reason so many collectors are on the hunt for the 1973 Washington quarter. In the right condition, especially if it's a mint error or a high-grade specimen, a single 1973 Washington quarter has sold for an incredible $75,000. Yes, you heard that right, $75,000. That's a life-changing amount of money from a coin that most people wouldn't even think twice about. So, what are you waiting for? Start checking your coin jars, your old collections, or even the quarters in your wallet. That 1973 coin you've been overlooking might just be the hidden treasure you've been searching for. If you've got a jar full of change sitting at home, or maybe some old coins stashed away in a drawer, you might want to take a closer look, because today, we're diving into the world of the 1982 Washington quarter dollar, and this little piece of American currency could be hiding a massive payday. Yes, you heard that right. A coin minted in the early 80s, an everyday quarter that most people have spent or ignored, could be worth thousands. So stay tuned, because in this video we'll explore the history, the minting details, the hidden errors, and the condition factors that could turn this quarter into a life-changing discovery. Let's take it back to 1982. It was a year full of change, not just in pop culture and politics, but also in American coinage. The U.S. Mint was undergoing a transition, trying to cut costs and increase efficiency. That meant big changes to the production of coins, and some of those changes led to rare variations and unintended minting errors. These tiny differences are what collectors today hunt for, and in the case of the 1982 quarter, a few of those differences have turned what would otherwise be a simple piece of metal into something incredibly valuable. Now, let's break down what makes the 1982 Washington quarter so special. First off, 1982 was the first year that the U.S. Mint stopped producing mint sets. That's right, before 1982, collectors could buy official uncirculated coin sets directly from the mint. But due to budget cuts and changing priorities, the mint didn't release them that year. So, the only way to get an uncirculated 1982 quarter was to pull one out of circulation shortly after it was released. That makes high-grade, untouched quarters from this year significantly harder to find, and it gets better, or rather, more interesting for collectors. In 1982, the Philadelphia Mint introduced a visible P mint mark on the quarter for the very first time. Up until then, Philadelphia coins had no mint mark at all. This small change is significant in numismatic history and makes the 1982 quarter a popular coin among collectors, especially those interested in modern-era coinage transitions. But here's the real twist: 1982 was also notorious for minting inconsistencies and errors. Because the mint was trying to produce large quantities of coins quickly without mint sets to cushion demand, quality control wasn't always perfect. This opened the door for some truly rare and valuable errors to sneak into circulation. Some of the most valuable 1982 quarters are those that show striking errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets. Even more elusive are those quarters missing part of the clad layer, which gives the coin a dull copper appearance rather than the usual silver tone. If you find a 1982 quarter with an unusual color, weight, or texture, don't spend it. It might be a rare planchet error. Another factor that massively influences value is the coin's condition. Collectors are always looking for coins in mint state, especially those graded MS 65 or higher. These are coins that have never been circulated, showing no signs of wear, and having sharp details and bright luster. Given that mint sets weren't made in 1982, finding an MS grade 1982 quarter is tough, which means when one is found, it's incredibly valuable. Also, keep your eyes open for proof-like strikes. Occasionally, coins struck for circulation ended up looking unusually shiny or detailed. These semi-proof-like coins, while not true proofs, are rarities and can command high premiums from collectors looking to fill gaps in their collections with exceptional examples. So, how do you know if your 1982 Washington quarter is worth more than 25 cents? Here's a checklist to help guide you. Look for errors. Check for doubled lettering, off-center images, or copper-colored surfaces that might suggest a missing clad layer. Check the mint mark. A P or a D tells you where it was minted. Quarters from both Philadelphia and Denver can be valuable, but condition and error play a much bigger role. Evaluate the condition. Coins with crisp edges, a clean surface, and no scratches or discoloration may qualify as mint state. Weigh it. A standard quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly lighter or heavier, it might be struck on the wrong planchet. Another rare and valuable mistake. If your quarter checks some of these boxes, it may be time to get it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Having a coin certified not only proves its authenticity, but also increases its value on the collector's market. Now comes the big reveal, the reason so many collectors dream of finding that perfect 1982 Washington quarter. If you happen to have one of these coins in mint condition, combined with a rare mint error, and it's been graded at a high level, its value could reach a jaw-dropping $69,000. That's right, $69,000. All for a coin that, to most people, is just a quarter. But to a collector? It's a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. So the next time you go through your pocket change, take a closer look. That ordinary 1982 quarter you've been ignoring might just be your golden ticket. And if you find something interesting, don't forget to comment down below and let us know. We love hearing your discoveries. Today, we're taking a deep and fascinating look at a coin that you may have seen countless times without ever knowing how special it could be. That's right, we're talking about the 1981 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but could actually be a hidden treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. So sit tight, because by the end of this video, you'll know why this unassuming piece of 25-cent currency has become such a hot topic in the coin collecting world, and how it could turn into a life-changing find for one lucky collector. Let's rewind the clock to 1981. The early 80s were a transitional time in the United States, culturally, politically, and yes, even monetarily. The U.S. Mint was still using the same core design for quarters that had been introduced back in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday. This design, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse, had become an iconic staple of American coinage, but in 1981, something was brewing beneath the surface. While the design hadn't changed, the Mint was dealing with production challenges, shifting policies, and increasing demand for coins. And all of that led to some very unusual outcomes for a small number of the 1981 quarters. First, let's talk about mint locations. In 1981, quarters were minted at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins bear no mint mark, the Denver coins have a D, and the San Francisco ones show an S. While San Francisco focused mainly on proof coins, those with high detail and mirror-like finishes intended for collectors, Philadelphia and Denver were pumping out circulation coins for everyday use. But here's where things get interesting. 1981 was the final year for what collectors refer to as the Type 1 mint mark style used on San Francisco proof coins. This alone makes 1981 an important year for modern coin collectors. That small detail might not sound like much, but in the world of numismatics, it's all about the fine points, and that old style S can carry serious value, especially in top condition. Now, most 1981 Washington quarters are still worth 25 cents, especially those that have been heavily circulated. But what separates the valuable ones from the common pocket change are two crucial factors: condition and errors. Let's break that down. First, condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded at MS 65 or higher, MS meaning mint state, is a coin that has never been circulated, has full detail, and shines with original mint luster. Because there were no official mint sets produced for general collectors in 1981, finding a quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition is rare. Most of the coins from this year were thrown into circulation and used like any other quarter. So a well-preserved coin is something truly special. Then there's the wild card that always grabs attention: errors. And 1981 had its fair share. Some of the most desirable error coins include double die errors, where parts of the design appear duplicated due to a mistake during the minting process. Off-center strikes, when the coin isn't properly aligned, and part of the design is missing. Clipped planchets, where the coin has a small chunk missing from the edge. Missing clad layers, revealing a copper core instead of the usual silvery appearance. Collectors go crazy for these types of coins because they're one-of-a-kind anomalies that slipped past quality control. Add in the fact that these mistakes occurred in a year without standard mint sets, and the rarity only increases. Now, here's something even more exciting. Some 1981 quarters were accidentally struck using proof dies, the same dies intended for high-detail collector coins, on standard circulation planchets. This resulted in what's called a proof-like finish on a regular quarter. These coins shimmer and shine more than regular circulation coins, and when authenticated and graded highly, they can bring in enormous value. And let's not forget about toning, the natural discoloration that happens to coins over time due to exposure to air or certain chemicals. While some discoloration can lower a coin's value, unique and beautiful toning patterns can actually increase it, especially if the coin has purples, blues, or golden hues that appeal to collectors. So, how do you know if you might have one of these rare treasures? Here's your quick checklist. Look closely at the mint mark. A San Francisco S could mean it's a proof coin. If it has the older style mint mark, even better. Inspect for errors like doubling, misalignments, or missing clad layers. Check the condition. The fewer scratches and the more original shine, the more valuable your coin could be. If it looks too shiny or detailed to be a regular circulation coin, it might be a proof-like strike. If you suspect you've got something special, it's time to take the next step: get it graded. Reputable services like PCGS or NGC will authenticate and grade your coin, giving it a place in the official coin collecting world. With certification, your coin could be sold at auction or to private collectors for significantly more than its face value. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. A 1981 Washington quarter dollar, with a rare mint error or in near-perfect mint state, has been known to fetch an astonishing $67,000. That's right, $67,000. For a coin that may have been lying unnoticed in your change jar, or passed through countless hands at just 25 cents. So what are you waiting for? Go check your collection, your coin rolls, or your next handful of change from the grocery store. That ordinary 1981 quarter might just turn out to be a life-changing discovery. Today, in this video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1974 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that many Americans have used every day, at vending machines, gas stations, and grocery stores, without ever realizing the treasure it might actually hold. Yes, believe it or not, this simple 25-cent piece from 1974 could be worth far more than its face value, especially if you happen to have a rare variety or a coin in exceptional condition. So stick around, because what you learn in the next few minutes could change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Let's begin with a little background. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. currency since it was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of the nation's first president, George Washington. It featured a beautiful portrait designed by sculptor John Flanagan, and for decades, that iconic design remained largely unchanged, through wars, cultural shifts, and economic upheavals. Now, fast forward to the year 1974. The U.S. Mint was preparing for something big, the nation's bicentennial in 1976. But 1974 was a crucial transitional year. Behind the scenes, the Mint was testing new materials, experimenting with designs, and preparing for a shift in coin production that would affect millions of coins. Because of these developments, some unusual coins were struck in 1974, and that's where our story begins. The vast majority of 1974 Washington quarters were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia don't carry a mint mark, while those from Denver have a D, and the San Francisco pieces are marked with an S. Most San Francisco quarters from that year were made as proof coins, beautiful, mirror-like examples created especially for collectors and not meant for circulation. So, what makes some 1974 quarters worth so much more than 25 cents? The answer lies in three key areas: mint errors, rare prototypes, and high-grade condition. Let's talk about errors first. Coin errors are a collector's dream because they're rare, often accidental, and usually very eye-catching. Some of the most valuable 1974 quarters feature striking errors like off-center strikes, double dies, or clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin appears to be missing due to a mistake during production. Then there are broad strike errors, which occur when a coin is struck without the retaining collar in place, causing the metal to spread out beyond its normal boundaries. These minting mishaps turn a regular quarter into a conversation piece, and often into a high-dollar collector item. Next, there are the prototype coins, which are incredibly rare. During 1974, the mint was preparing for the upcoming bicentennial redesign, which would be featured on coins dated 1776 to 1976. Some test pieces and trial strikes from 1974, made with different metals or slightly altered designs, may have accidentally escaped the mint. These coins are virtually priceless to serious collectors due to their extreme rarity and historical significance. If you happen to come across a quarter that looks just slightly different, maybe the lettering seems thicker or the image is unusually sharp, it could be one of these prototypes. Definitely worth investigating, but even without an error or prototype, a 1974 quarter can still be incredibly valuable if it is in mint condition. Most coins go through a lot once they enter circulation: scratches, wear, discoloration. But if a coin somehow avoids all that and retains its original shine and sharp detail, collectors will pay top dollar for it. The best of the best are those graded MS 67 or higher, MS meaning mint state. These coins are judged by their luster, strike quality, and lack of blemishes. A 1974 Washington quarter in such pristine condition is exceedingly rare and highly desirable. Now, here's a little-known fact that adds an extra layer of intrigue. Some 1974 quarters have a missing clad layer, exposing the copper core beneath the outer surface. These error coins appear darker or have a reddish tint and are significantly lighter in weight. Because these errors are so uncommon, they're often snapped up quickly by collectors when discovered, and there's more, proof-like strikes from business strikes. In very rare instances, a coin intended for circulation is struck with such force and precision that it has the mirrored finish of a proof coin. These PL coins, as collectors call them, can fetch serious money on the open market, especially when verified and graded by trusted organizations like PCGS or NGC. So how can you tell if your 1974 quarter might be special? Start by checking the mint mark: S for proof, D for Denver, and no mark for Philadelphia. Look for any unusual features, off-center designs, doubling, missing clad layers, or odd coloration. Evaluate the condition. If it looks brand new, it might be a mint state coin. Weigh it. If it feels lighter or heavier than usual, it might have a metal composition error. If you suspect you have something rare, consider getting it professionally graded. That's the only way to truly know what you're holding. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for: a rare 1974 Washington quarter dollar, especially one featuring a mint error, a prototype variation, or in absolutely flawless condition, can be worth a staggering $76,000. Yes, you heard that right. $76,000 for a quarter that someone may have once used to buy a gumball or pay a parking meter. So, take a moment to go through your change jar, your old coin rolls, or even your childhood piggy bank. You never know what forgotten treasure might be hiding in plain sight. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another exciting episode. We're always on the hunt for the next big coin discovery, and we'd love to have you along for the journey. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting and happy collecting.